7 Things America Got Wrong in History Class.
Everything you learned in American history class, we need to talk about it. Schools have been teaching the same nice, clean stories for generations, but the real history is way darker, messier, and way more important to understand. This isn't about blaming anyone. It's about finally learning what actually happened instead of the sanitized version. Today, we're exposing 7 major misconceptions that American schools are still teaching. By the end of this video, you'll see American history completely differently. Let's go.
Topic 1. Columbus discovering America. Columbus discovered America in 1492. He was a brave explorer who found a new world. He's a hero we should celebrate. Wrong. Native Americans had been living here for 15,000 years. Multiple advanced civilizations with governments, architecture, and trade networks already existed. Columbus didn't even reach North America. He landed in the Caribbean, Bahamas, Haiti, Dominican Republic. And the Vikings got here 500 years before him anyway. Columbus was a brutal colonizer. He enslaved native people and shipped thousands back to Spain in chains. His own men documented his extreme cruelty and punished people brutally if they didn't find enough gold. Topic 2. The Thanksgiving Story. Pilgrims landed and Native Americans helped them survive. They had a friendly feast together to celebrate friendship. It's this heartwarming story of cooperation. Wrong. The friendly feast never happened. It was completely invented in the 1800s by historians. There's zero documentation of any such meal. It's pure fiction that became tradition. What actually happened? Pilgrims arrived as colonists, not refugees. They took native resources without permission. Some natives did help them survive, but then colonists pushed them off their lands and introduced diseases that killed millions. The real origin of Thanksgiving was 1637. Colonists attacked the Pequot people and killed 600+ men, women, and children. They burned their entire village. The governor declared it a day of thanksgiving to God. This is the actual beginning of the holiday, celebrating genocide. Why teach the fake version? Easy to tell kids a nice story. Hard to explain genocide to children. Tradition is hard to change once it starts. Topic 3. George Washington and the Cherry Tree. Young George Washington cut down his father's cherry tree. When asked, he confessed, "I cannot tell a lie." Shows his honesty and character. The story is 100% completely made up. It was invented by biographer Mason Locke Weems after Washington died. Weems was known for fabricating stories to sell books. Never happened, never documented, complete fiction. Why does this matter? It shows how easily history gets fabricated. Once a myth is popular, it sticks for centuries. We all memorized a fake story in school. Textbooks just repeated it without checking sources. The real Washington was more complicated. A slave owner who didn't free his slaves until after he died, had complex views on many issues. Not the perfect hero the Cherry Tree story suggests. Topic 4. The Wild West Gunfights. Hollywood taught us that the Wild West was full of constant gunfights, famous duels between cowboys and outlaws, nonstop shootouts in saloons and town squares. The frontier was chaotic and violent, with outlaws everywhere. Wrong. Gunfights were incredibly rare. Most towns had sheriffs and actual laws. Statistics show way fewer gunfights than movies show. Some famous duels never actually happened. Towns were safer than you'd think. Hollywood invented the myth. Gunfights make for exciting movies. Each Western film exaggerated more than the last. By the 1950s, it was pure fantasy. We believed what we saw in movies instead of checking facts. The real Wild West violence? Settlers stealing Native American lands, massacres of native tribes, forced relocations and broken treaties, military killing women and children. This is the actual story of westward expansion. Why don't we learn this?
Easier to teach exciting gunfight stories.
Harder to teach about genocide. Western movies were culturally dominant. It's uncomfortable history to acknowledge. Topic 5. Native Americans vanishing. Schools teach that Native Americans disappeared or died out. They're mostly gone now. We rarely see them. They're a thing of the past. Wrong. They didn't disappear. Over 5 million Native Americans alive today in the U.S. Another 2+ million in Canada and Central America. That's more people than the entire population of L.A. But most people never see them or think about them. What actually happened? They were forced onto reservations. Governments stole their lands. Cultures were suppressed. Languages banned. Children were taken from families to boarding schools, forbidden from speaking native languages or practicing traditions. Kill the Indian, save the man was literally their school motto. Modern Native Americans are living in all 50 states, in all professions. Artists, activists, politicians, business owners. Still fighting to preserve languages and cultures, dealing with high poverty rates from historical injustice. Still fighting for treaty rights and resources. Why do we think they vanished? They were pushed to remote reservations, out of sight. Textbooks don't teach about modern Native Americans. Movies and media rarely feature them. Out of sight equals out of mind for society.
Topic 6. Manifest destiny. America had a manifest destiny to expand westward. God wanted Americans to settle the West. It was a civilizing mission. It was inevitable and natural, something to be proud of. Wrong. Manifest destiny was justification for genocide. Not destiny. It was a deliberate choice. A choice to invade, steal lands, and kill native people. Not inevitable, not God's will, just imperialism. Same imperialism that European powers did in Africa and Asia. Used religious language to make theft sound noble. In reality, ethnic cleansing and land theft on massive scale. The scale of death was catastrophic. Scholars estimate 90% of native population was killed. Some estimates 15 to 100 million indigenous people died. Over 400 years through disease, warfare, and forced relocations. One of the largest genocides in human history. The U.S. government made 500+ treaties with native tribes, broke nearly all of them. Found gold on native land? Treaty broken. Settlers wanted the land? Treaty broken. Legal agreements meant absolutely nothing. Why call it expansion instead of genocide? America wanted to appear civilized and righteous. Easier narrative, expansion versus genocide. But systematic killing of a people equals genocide by definition. Topic 7. Native Americans do not equal Black identities. There's confusion between Native American and Black identities. People treat them as if they're the same thing, mixing up their histories and struggles. These are completely different groups. Native Americans are indigenous peoples of America, 500+ distinct tribes and nations. Black Americans are descendants of enslaved Africans brought to America. Different histories, different struggles. Native Americans fought invasion of their homeland, faced forced relocations, cultural genocide. Black Americans were enslaved, brought forcibly from Africa, faced Jim Crow laws, systemic racism. Both suffered oppression and genocide, but in completely different ways. Both deserve recognition for their distinct experiences. Native American cultures vary by tribe, 500+ different nations, each with their own languages, traditions, governments, beliefs. Black American culture developed uniquely in America. Music, literature, spirituality, food, all distinctive. Each group has their own modern community and issues. The history is complicated. Some Native American tribes did enslave Black people. Some Black people lived with and were adopted by Native tribes. Some people have both Native and Black heritage. Doesn't change that they're distinct identities. Why is this distinction important? Each group deserves recognition for their unique identity. Mixing them up erases their distinct struggles. Both groups face ongoing discrimination. Both have unique modern communities, cultures, and issues. Both need acknowledgement and respect for their specific histories.
7 major misconceptions exposed. The real history of America is darker, more complex, and way more important to understand than what schools teach us. And these aren't just historical trivia. They explain why America looks the way it does today. Poverty, inequality, systemic racism, these didn't just happen by accident. They're direct results of deliberate policies, land theft, and broken promises made 200+ years ago. If you want to actually understand America and why things are the way they are, stop believing the myths and learn the real story. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. Learn real history.